You know that moment. End of the month. You open your banking app. You have been working for 30 days. You have been busy. You have been responsible. You did not do anything obviously reckless. And yet the number staring back at you is somewhere between uncomfortable and embarrassing. You close the app. You tell yourself next month will be different. Next month is not different. Here is what makes this specific kind of financial pain so persistent. You have already tried the obvious solutions. You downloaded the budgeting app. You tracked your spending for 2 weeks before quietly abandoning it. You cut the coffee for a month. You told yourself you would stop eating out so much. You meant every single word of it. And somehow, at the end of every month, the account looks the same. The reason none of those solutions worked is not that you lack discipline. It is that every single one of them was solving the wrong problem. According to a 2025 Bankrate survey, 57% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense from savings. That is not a low-income statistic. That number includes people earning $60,000, $80,000, and $100,000 a year. People who have been working for a decade and have accumulated almost nothing. The problem is not the salary. The problem is something nobody ever taught you to see. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. For most people, the diagnosis goes like this. I do not save because I do not earn enough. If I just made more money, I would finally be able to put something away. The raise is coming, the promotion is coming, the side hustle will take off, and then things will be different. This diagnosis feels logical. It is almost entirely wrong. Study after study on actual savings behavior shows that income and savings rate have almost no automatic correlation. When income goes up, spending goes up in direct proportion. The raise arrives. Within 60 to 90 days, it is fully absorbed into the lifestyle. The savings rate stays identical. The account looks the same at the end of the month, just with larger numbers moving through it. This is why the conventional solutions keep failing. Budgeting apps track symptoms. Spending trackers describe symptoms. Cutting specific purchases treats individual symptoms. None of them touches the actual cause. The actual cause runs deeper than any app can reach. It runs at the level of identity. Specifically, it runs at the level of what psychologists call your spending identity. And until you understand what that is and how it operates, every savings goal you set will quietly dissolve before the month ends. Your spending identity is the unconscious picture your brain holds of what your financial life is supposed to look like. It is not something you chose deliberately. It assembled itself over the years, from watching how your parents handled money, from the lifestyle of your peer group, from every purchase you ever normalized, and from every upgrade you told yourself you deserved. It operates completely on autopilot. It's running your finances whether you are aware of it or not. The spending identity does one thing above everything else. It establishes a floor, a minimum standard of living that your brain accepts as normal. Below that floor, every cutback feels like deprivation. Every saved dollar feels like a sacrifice. Every financial goal feels like punishment. Above that floor, spending feels comfortable, justified, and completely reasonable. Here is the trap. That floor only moves in one direction. Every raise, every lifestyle upgrade, every new normal raises the floor a little higher. It never comes down on its own, which means every additional dollar you earn gets immediately defined as the new minimum and consumed before it ever reaches savings. This is why the person earning $45,000 10 years ago and $95,000 today has almost the same amount saved as when they started. The salary doubled. The spending identity doubled with it. The gap between income and savings remained unchanged. The spending identity has 3 components that are worth understanding separately because each one operates differently. The first is the lifestyle floor. This is the baseline. The apartment that feels like the minimum acceptable standard. The car that feels like the least you should be driving, given where you are in life. The restaurants, the wardrobe, the subscriptions, the collection of expenses that feel non-negotiable because they have become normal. Cutting any of them does not feel like saving money. It feels like going backward. The second component is the comfort spend. This is the most invisible of the three. Comfort spending is triggered emotionally, by stress, by boredom, by reward, and by social pressure. It is the delivery order after a hard day because you earned it. It is the shopping session when you are anxious because it temporarily quiets the anxiety. It is the dinner out because everyone else is going, and declining feels socially costly. None of these feels like bad decisions in the moment. They feel completely justified. Together, they account for 20 to 35% of most people's discretionary spending, silently, every month, without leaving a trace in your memory. The third component is the identity purchase. This is spending that tells a story, to yourself and to others, about who you are. The car is not just transportation. The apartment is not just a shelter. The wardrobe is not just clothing. These purchases are identity markers. They signal status, success, taste, and belonging. Cutting them does not feel like a financial decision. It feels like an identity threat, which is exactly why willpower alone will never work against them. You cannot white-knuckle your way out of a purchase that feels like self-preservation. Together, these three components, the lifestyle floor, the comfort spend, and the identity purchase, form a spending identity that runs constantly in the background, quietly consuming everything your salary produces before savings ever get a chance. Let me show you what this costs in actual numbers. Take someone earning $55,000 a year. Their spending identity has established a lifestyle that costs $54,200 annually. They save $800 a year, less than 2% of their income. At the end of 10 years, with modest investment returns, they have accumulated approximately $10,000. Now take the exact same person, same salary, same job, but they reset their spending identity by just 10%. Meaning they redirect $5,500 per year to savings instead of lifestyle. That is $458 per month. Not a dramatic sacrifice, not a radical lifestyle overhaul, just a 10% identity reset. Over 10 years at 8% average returns, that $5,500 annual contribution becomes approximately $85,000. Over 20 years, it has become approximately $273,000. The difference between those two outcomes is not income. It is not luck. It is not a promotion or a windfall or a side hustle. It is a spending identity reset of 10%. And here is the number that should make this feel urgent. Every year, the spending identity goes unchanged. It's a year of compounding permanently gone. Not delayed, gone. The money you do not invest at 30 cannot be recovered by investing more at 40. Time is the one variable that cannot be bought back, regardless of how much you eventually earn. The empty account at the end of this month is not a small inconvenience. It is a compounding cost that accumulates silently every single month until the day you need the money to be there. And it isn't. The good news is that a spending identity is not permanent. It was built gradually and unconsciously. It can be rebuilt deliberately. Here is exactly how. Step 1. Name your current spending identity before you try to change it. Most people skip this step and go straight to cutting expenses. That approach fails because you are fighting an invisible opponent. You need to make the spending identity visible first. Here is a 15-minute exercise that does exactly that. Open your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Do not analyze individual transactions. Instead, look for the pattern underneath them. Ask yourself 3 questions. What is the minimum lifestyle my spending reflects? The floor I have never consciously agreed to but clearly maintain. Where do I spend emotionally? The purchases triggered by stress, reward, boredom, or social pressure. What purchases am I making to signal something about who I am? Write the answers down. Do not judge them. Just name them. The spending identity loses most of its power the moment you can see it clearly. Step 2. Define your new identity in words before you define it in numbers. This is the step almost every financial framework skips, and it is the most important one. Most savings goals are numerical. Save $500 a month, build a $10,000 emergency fund, reach 10% savings rate. Numbers are easy to abandon because they have no emotional weight. Identity statements are almost impossible to abandon because they are about who you are. Instead of, I want to save more money, write this. I am someone who builds wealth quietly. I am someone whose financial reality is stronger than my financial appearance. I am someone who invests in my future self before I spend on my present lifestyle. Read that identity statement every time you are about to make a significant purchase. Not as a rule. As a reminder of who you have decided to be. The purchase either aligns with that identity or it doesn't. That single filter eliminates more unnecessary spending than any budget ever could. Step 3. Automate the identity gap before your brain can negotiate it away. The difference between your current spending floor and your new identity goes to savings automatically. The morning after your paycheck lands, before you see it, before the spending identity can calculate what is available. Start with whatever percentage feels uncomfortable but not impossible. If 10% feels like too much, start with 5%. The exact amount matters less than the automaticity. Once the money moves before you see it, the spending identity adjusts to what remains. It always does. That is the same mechanism that built the trap. Automated saving simply turns it around. Go back to that moment at the end of the month. You open the app. The number is lower than it should be. You feel the familiar knot. That feeling is not evidence that you are bad with money. It is evidence that you have been running a spending identity you never consciously chose. An identity assembled from other people's expectations, social comparison, emotional habits, and a lifetime of normalizing expenses that were never examined. The salary was never the problem. The problem was a story about what your money is for and who you are supposed to be with it. That story can be rewritten, not with willpower, not with deprivation, with a deliberate decision about identity that you make once, and then automate so you never have to fight the same battle twice. The person who rewrites that story does not end the month checking their account with dread. They end the month checking their account with something that takes a long time to build, but almost nothing to maintain once it arrives.